Hey folks, Dr. Rowe, we have exactly 7 minutes to get 5 very important points across about self-build. So if you're watching this, you need to hang tight for 7 minutes. Okay, Colin, we're going to head straight over to you. Are you in the Arctic?
It feels like it. I tell you what, the sun is shining. If you could look behind there,
I can see that.
sun. But today, it was snowing like hail just now, like
Oh
really
my God.
heavy.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, you've got a good protection going on there. Okay, so we are at your place. We need to talk about this because a lot of people go into self-build and people can lose money. They can make mistakes. And because they're trying to do it themselves, we've heard some pretty bad horror stories and now people have had that experience. So we have 6 minutes and 15 seconds now. Talk to us through the 5 key stages at this point to where you're at, and then we'll do another video, the next stages. What's the first real key stage?
Yeah, so the first one is I needed planning permission for what I'm doing here, right? So I had to go through planning. So that's the design, getting the planner approval in, and making sure it's all signed off by the council and that they're happy, right? Because I'm converting what is a garage into a large studio come workspace.
Okay, now roughly speaking, so they've got an idea of that. How long does that typically take?
That will take 8 weeks for a decision, a week for validation, so say 9 weeks in total, and you need the design stage. The design stage probably take 2 to 3 weeks on some
Amazing.
plans.
All right. Now, obviously, we can talk about this more in another video. So we've got 5 minutes, 30 seconds left. What is the next stage?
Next stage is building control. So not every single outbuilding, if you're doing something similar to mine, will require building control. But if you're doing a self-build and you're actually going to use it as habitable spaces, you'll need building control. And that is another stage that you need that is post-planning.
Right, just layman speak, in a nutshell, what is building control for someone who's got no idea?
It's all about regulations. You have to build your building to regulations and minimum standards, which is set by the government. If you don't do it and you don't get your building control certificate, you won't get your lending, you won't get your refinancing, all of these things. You need to make sure you get it all signed off.
Especially even selling the house in the future, I guess, as well.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen people, they've done it without building control. They have to go and get post-completion building control certificates to sell the house, to value it.
Yeah.
Stressful situation.
And that process then delays it. Okay, that's great tips. Now we get to site. What's the first physical stage of the process that you've already done? We know, but with 4 minutes, 31 seconds, we've got 3 site stages now. What's the first one of those?
It's clearing the site, getting it all ready and doing the groundworks and the drainage. So
what's the best title here? Should I put groundworks?
Groundworks, yeah. Groundworks covers all of that. So in this project here, we had quite deep footings and we needed our drainage because we installed a new bathroom. So we need to connect up to the existing system at the main house, and then we needed to put in the footings.
Okay, so that's a good point actually. So it's the drainage, if you're going to have a toilet there or shower, whatever, and
electricity,
the footings,
gas, it all goes in.
And the footings are part of what's agreed with planning, is that right? And the building control?
Building control mainly because you need an engineer to sign that off as well and provide you the details.
Right, okay. So the groundworks, everybody's about the excavation, getting the footings in, etc. That's in place already. Maybe we'll get the video camera spun around in a minute before we wrap up. Beyond groundworks, now that's all done, what is the next stage?
So once you're doing that, you're doing your substructure, which is basically going to bring you up what's called your damp level. So on this particular property, I've got a block and beam floor. So I'm bringing up my block and beam around the edges and laying my floor slab down, ready to build my superstructure on.
Okay, we're doing pretty well on time. We've got 3 minutes 15. So let's go back over that a minute. Substructure is not some huge thing everyone thinks. This is kind of like a slab, is it? I mean, I know the answers to this because I'm an ex-civil engineer, but I'm asking silly questions that somebody might be asking.
Yeah, it's kind of everything below your damp level, to be perfectly honest, right? Because your level, that's where all the damp and the moisture can sit within the building. So anything above that is your superstructure, but anything below damp. So I'll show you the damp in just a second, but here it's my block and beam floor, but it could be your concrete slab, it could be your oversight, it could be your upstand, your block curbs.
And you chose block and beam because you've got what, a timber structure, lightweight. Is that right? Have I got that right?
It was the site conditions that lent itself to a block and beam floor because part of the area was being excavated and there was a gap, so I needed a block and beam ventilated floor.
Right, okay. That leaves us 2 minutes and 25 seconds to do the last one and look around the site a little bit. So what's the last one?
The last one is superstructure. So if you look behind me, you can see my timber structure here. It's all going up. That's classed as your superstructure, so that sits above the damp. And I'm now building the timber frame here, ready to create the carcass of my extension.
Okay, and I like this, Cole, because sometimes these words can be a bit scary. People don't know what they mean. But actually, not to be afraid of these kind of terms. It's simple stages, really, we're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And this is the normal lingo that you're going to use when you're doing your refurbishment, especially if you're working with a contractor. And actually, sometimes it sounds like a lot more work than what it actually is, but it's not necessarily. So just having a bit of a knowledge on it is really important.
Well, you've got a minute and 42. What do you want to do? Do you want to show us a bit around what you've explained there?
Why not?
Add any more to the stages in terms of...
well, I'll talk you round just now because then you get to actually see that. So just bear with me. And let's walk
This is really
around.
helpful because I think for somebody that's like brand new, they're like, where do I start? This is a really great approach. And we'll see more of this as Colin evolves it.
That's right. So you can see here, and I'll stay out of camera shot at the moment. We've got our superstructure in timber. Can you see that?
Yeah, so in reverse, we've got superstructure at the top in timber. We talked about in another video. Below that then is what you would call the substructure.
So can you see this black layer here?
Yep, that's the damp course.
Yep, that's the damp course. That protects the timber from any moisture coming up through the structure.
So in other words, those of you watching, any water trying to come up hits this protective layer.
That's it. And then just below that, we've got our block up stand, right? So that comes off of the footings. That comes directly off the footings. In fact, you can see the moisture at the bottom there.
Yes.
You can see where it's rained. It's actually been absorbed there, and that travels up the structure. This is why. This is to protect our timber frame. And then inside, this is our block and beam floor.
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Great way to build your floor. It's solid. You've got your concrete beams coming across and you lay your blocks inside. Underneath here is a void. We have to have a ventilation void and a DPM. And you'll notice here, I don't know whether we can see them, we've got ventilation gaps that go straight through the structure underneath there called a telescopic.
So it breathes underneath, and that's a damp, and then there'll be the damp course on top of that. We have 10 seconds left to wrap up. So can we get you on another video to show the next stage above that? Because I know that's where you are right now.
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to the next stage, I'll jump on and I'll show you the next bit, because actually we're putting the roof on and going on to some interesting bits then.
Fantastic. Cole, thanks a lot. Speak to you soon. Perfect. 7 minutes. Cheers.
Bye.